Who were the Minoans? This question has puzzled historians and archaeologists for more than a century. On the island of Crete, over 4,000 years ago, a civilization emerged that would set the stage for Europe's first great cultural and technological achievements, but their origins remain one of history's great mysteries. Were they native to Crete, or did they come from somewhere else? And if so, from where? To begin unraveling the mystery, we need to return to the early 20th century when the British archaeologist Sir Arthur Evans first unearthed the ruins of the Palace of Knossos. Among the frescoes, pottery, and intricate architecture, Evans identified features that seemed unfamiliar compared to other known European cultures of the time. He proposed that the Minoans, as he named them after the mythical king Minos, might have originated in North Africa. His reasoning was based on artistic similarities between Minoan and Egyptian designs, particularly depictions of nature and religious ceremonies. However, as excavations continued and more artifacts were uncovered, Evans's theory began to face challenges. For instance, while Minoan art does bear some resemblance to Egyptian motifs, no direct evidence of an African migration to Crete has been found. Furthermore, the Minoan language, as seen in their undeciphered script Linear A, does not appear to match any known African linguistic systems. This lack of corroboration eventually caused the North African hypothesis to lose credibility among scholars. But if they didn't come from North Africa, where did they come from? For decades, researchers debated other possibilities. Some pointed to Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, due to parallels in early pottery styles and burial practices. Others suggested connections to the Levant, given Crete's strategic position between the eastern Mediterranean and Europe. Still, until the advent of modern genetic testing, the question of the Minoans' origins remained an open mystery. The importance of solving this puzzle goes far beyond curiosity. The Minoans were not an isolated people, they were a pivotal link in the ancient Mediterranean, shaping art, trade, and cultural practices in ways that rippled across the region. Understanding where they came from isn't just about them, it's about understanding the foundations of European civilization itself. As we delve deeper into this story, we'll explore the groundbreaking scientific advancements and archaeological discoveries that have finally brought us closer to solving the riddle of Minoan origins. But as you'll see, the answers are as complex and fascinating as the people themselves. For decades, the question of Minoan origins remained an open mystery, debated by archaeologists and historians, but in recent years, modern genetic research has offered a breakthrough, bringing us closer than ever to understanding where these ancient people came from. By examining the DNA of the Minoans themselves, scientists have uncovered evidence that reshapes our understanding of their ancestry and connections to the broader Mediterranean world. In 2013, a team of researchers led by Dr. George Stamatoyannopoulos conducted a groundbreaking study that analyzed mitochondrial DNA extracted from the remains of ancient Minoans. These samples, dating back more than 3,500 years, were remarkably well preserved in Crete's dry caves and tombs. The results were clear. The Minoans were closely related to Neolithic farmers who had migrated from western Anatolia and the surrounding Aegean regions. These findings provided the first concrete evidence tying the Minoans to a broader migration of early agriculturalists into Europe. But what does this mean in the larger context of human history? Around 9,000 years ago, Neolithic farming communities began spreading out of Anatolia, carrying with them not just crops and tools, but new ways of life. By the time these migrants reached Crete, they transformed the island into a fertile hub of innovation. This wave of migration brought the genetic foundation upon which Minoan civilization would later emerge. The revelations didn't stop there. In 2017, a more comprehensive genome-wide study conducted by Lazaridis et al. Built upon these findings. This study examined not only Minoan remains, but also those of their mainland counterparts, the Mycenaeans. It confirmed a shared ancestry between the two groups, tracing both populations to early Anatolian farmers. Yet the study also revealed a small genetic input from Eastern populations, possibly from the Caucasus or the ancient Near East. hinting at additional waves of migration or contact that may have influenced Minoan culture. What's particularly fascinating is the evidence of continuity. Modern Greeks, especially those in Crete, share a significant portion of their DNA with the Minoans, suggesting that despite invasions, collapses, and cultural shifts, the genetic legacy of the Minoans has endured. This unbroken connection provides a living link to Europe's first great civilization. However, as remarkable as these discoveries are, they also highlight the limitations of what genetics alone can tell us. The DNA confirms where the Minoans likely came from, but it doesn't explain why they migrated or what drove them to transform Crete into a thriving Bronze Age society. Were they fleeing conflict, seeking fertile lands, or driven by something else entirely? And how did this blend of Anatolian and Aegean ancestry manifest in their culture, art, and religion? These are questions that genetics alone cannot answer, but they point us toward the next layers of investigation. As we move forward, the evidence from DNA sets the stage for a deeper exploration of Minoan culture through archaeology. How did these early farmers adapt to life on Crete? What technologies, practices, and ideas did they bring with them? The genetic trail provides a foundation, but it is the archaeological record that fills in the details of their story. Genetic evidence may provide the biological story of the Minoans, but it's the archaeological record that reveals how they lived, what they built, and how they shaped their world. From the ruins scattered across Crete, a vivid picture of their society begins to emerge, one that aligns with the findings from genetic studies and paints a portrait of a culture both innovative and deeply connected to its surroundings. The earliest traces of Minoan civilization can be found in the Neolithic settlements of Crete, dating back to around 7000 BCE. These settlers, likely migrants from Anatolia, brought with them the tools and knowledge of early farming. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of domesticated crops and animals, rudimentary stone tools, and early pottery, all of which bear striking similarities to artifacts from Anatolian sites of the same period. These discoveries confirm that the foundations of Minoan society were laid by people who arrived during the Neolithic migration into Europe. As these early communities grew, they began to adapt to Crete's unique environment. By the Bronze Age, around 3000 BCE, the island had transformed into a thriving hub of innovation. The hallmark of this period was the construction of palaces, the most famous of which is Knossos. This grand complex, first excavated by Sir Arthur Evans in the early 1900s, stands as a testament to the Minoans' architectural ingenuity. Multi-story buildings, complex drainage systems, and storerooms filled with surplus goods reveal a society that was highly organized and prosperous. But Knossos was not alone. Similar palace complexes, such as those at Phaistos and Malea, suggest a network of interconnected city-states, each contributing to the island's economic and cultural vibrancy. These sites also highlight the Minoan skills in engineering, as their structures were designed to withstand the challenges of earthquakes, a frequent occurrence in the region. Minoan art offers further insight into their identity. The frescoes adorning the walls of their palaces depict vivid scenes of nature, religious rituals, and daily life. Unlike the militaristic themes common in neighboring cultures, Minoan art emphasizes harmony, movement, and an intimate connection with the natural world. Scholars have noted that these artistic themes align with the Minoans' apparent lack of fortifications, suggesting a society that relied on trade and diplomacy rather than military strength. Trade, in fact, was central to the Minoans' success. Their location in the eastern Mediterranean positioned them as intermediaries between the cultures of the Near East, Egypt, and mainland Greece. Archaeological evidence of Minoan pottery has been found as far afield as the Levant and Egypt, demonstrating the reach of their maritime networks. It was through this trade that the Minoans likely absorbed and influenced the cultural and technological innovations of their neighbors. However, one aspect of Minoan life remains an enduring mystery: their writing system. Linear A, the script used by the Minoans, has yet to be deciphered. While some scholars have proposed links to Anatolian languages, no definitive connections have been established. This undeciphered script leaves significant gaps in our understanding of their administrative practices, religious beliefs, and societal organization. The archaeological record, rich as it is, provides compelling evidence that the Minoans were not isolated but deeply interconnected with the broader ancient world. Their early ties to Anatolia, evident in material culture and farming practices, align with the genetic findings. Yet their unique art, architecture, and societal traits suggest a civilization that took these influences and crafted something entirely its own. As we delve deeper into the debates and theories surrounding Minoan origins, it's clear that their archaeological legacy is as enigmatic as it is illuminating. While we have pieced together much of their story, questions about their language, governance, and decline remind us that there is still so much left to uncover. The genetic and archaeological evidence paints a compelling picture of the Minoans' origins and their ties to Anatolia and the Aegean. But despite these advancements, not all questions have been answered. Debates still linger, and alternative theories about their ancestry and influences remain, adding layers of complexity to the Minoan enigma. One of the earliest alternative theories came from Sir Arthur Evans, who initially proposed that the Minoans originated in North Africa. This idea was based on perceived similarities between Minoan art and Egyptian motifs, particularly in depictions of nature and religious ceremonies. However, while the Minoans undoubtedly interacted with Egypt through trade, modern genetic studies have firmly ruled out a North African origin. The DNA evidence shows no significant genetic contribution from Africa, and the cultural parallels are now understood as a result of contact and exchange, not shared ancestry. This reinterpretation reflects a broader trend in archaeology, distinguishing between influence through interaction and true origins. Another intriguing hypothesis suggests connections between the Minoans and the Levant. Crete's strategic location in the eastern Mediterranean placed it within a vibrant network of trade routes linking Europe, the Near East, and North Africa. Archaeological discoveries, such as Levantine-style seals and imported goods found in Minoan contexts, indicate extensive contact with the region. Some scholars argue that these connections may go deeper, suggesting that early Levantine migrants or traders could have played a role in shaping Minoan society. Yet once again, the genetic evidence complicates this theory. While there is minor input from populations in the Near East, it is far too small to support the idea of a Levantine origin for the Minoans. Instead, these influences seem to reflect the cultural exchanges that were a hallmark of the Bronze Age Mediterranean. Perhaps the most persistent and tantalizing mystery lies in the Minoans' writing system. Linear A, their primary script, remains undeciphered, defying decades of scholarly efforts. Some researchers have suggested that Linear A might be linked to Anatolian languages such as Luwian, given the genetic and cultural ties to Anatolia. Others believe it represents a completely unique language, unconnected to any known linguistic family. Without the ability to read their records, we are left to speculate about how the Minoans governed themselves, organized their economy, and expressed their beliefs. Deciphering Linear A could answer many of these questions, but for now it remains a locked door in the study of Minoan history. Indo-European connections are another subject of debate. Some have argued that elements of Minoan society, such as their religious practices or social structures, might have been influenced by early Indo-European migrations into the Aegean. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory. The genetic data does not align with an Indo-European origin, and the unique aspects of Minoan culture, such as their matriarchal depictions in art and their apparent emphasis on harmony with nature, set them apart from more patriarchal Indo-European societies of the time. What these debates reveal is the complexity of tracing ancient origins. The story of the Minoans is not one of a single migration or influence, but rather a dynamic interaction between local development and external contact. Their civilization was shaped by waves of innovation and cultural exchange, making them both a product of their environment and contributors to the broader Mediterranean world. Despite the advances in genetics and archaeology, the debates and unanswered questions highlight the limitations of our current knowledge. For example, why did the Minoans seem to avoid fortifications and focus on diplomacy while their neighbors, like the Mycenaeans, relied heavily on military might? Did their position as maritime traders make military defense less necessary, or was there another factor at play? Similarly, the question of their language remains central to understanding their society. Without deciphering linear A, we are left to interpret their culture primarily through artifacts and architecture, which only tell part of the story. Ultimately, the alternative theories and lingering mysteries serve as a reminder of how much there is still to learn. Each discovery adds a new piece to the puzzle, but it also raises new questions. The Minoans remain an enigma, a civilization defined not only by what we know, but also by the vast potential of what is yet to be uncovered. The story of the Minoans is more than an exploration of their origins. It's a gateway to understanding the foundations of European civilization and the interconnected world of the ancient Mediterranean. By piecing together their genetic and archaeological story, we gain insights into the migration patterns, cultural exchanges, and innovations that shaped not only the Minoans but also the civilizations that followed. The genetic findings linking the Minoans to Neolithic farmers from Anatolia place them within one of the most transformative periods in human history. These farmers didn't just spread seeds, they carried with them the knowledge and technologies that would revolutionize human life. When they reached Crete around 7000 BCE, they brought domesticated crops, livestock, and a settled way of life that laid the groundwork for the rise of advanced societies. Over millennia, these early communities adapted to Crete's unique geography, transforming the island into a thriving cultural and agricultural hub. Yet, the Minoans didn't simply inherit these innovations, they expanded upon them. Their advanced architecture, including multi-story palaces with intricate drainage systems, reflects a society capable of planning and engineering on an unprecedented scale. These developments weren't isolated, they influenced neighboring cultures, most notably the Mycenaeans, who borrowed elements of Minoan art, architecture, and possibly even governance. The Minoans' role as cultural intermediaries is particularly significant. Positioned at the crossroads of the ancient world, Crete became a hub of trade and interaction. Minoan pottery, often found in Egypt, the Levant, and mainland Greece, is a testament to the reach of their maritime networks. These exchanges weren't just economic, they were cultural. Through trade, the Minoans absorbed ideas from their trading partners and in turn spread their own innovations across the Mediterranean. They were a bridge between East and West, facilitating the flow of goods, knowledge, and technologies that enriched civilizations on both sides. However, while the Minoans' legacy is evident in the cultures that followed, there are still unanswered questions about the specifics of their influence. For instance, how did their religious practices shape those of later Greek civilizations? The imagery of bulls, labyrinths, and goddess figures seen in Minoan art echoes through Greek mythology, but how much of this connection is direct and how much is interpretive? And what about their economic systems? Did their focus on trade and diplomacy inspire similar practices in the Mycenaeans and beyond? These are the kinds of questions that remain tantalizingly out of reach without a fuller understanding of their language and records. The collapse of Minoan civilization adds yet another layer of complexity. Their society, once thriving, faced a combination of natural disasters, including the catastrophic eruption of Thera and external pressures from the Mycenaeans. While the specifics of their decline remain debated, what's clear is that their cultural influence endured. The Mycenaeans, who eventually dominated Crete, absorbed many aspects of Minoan culture, from their artistic styles to their administrative practices. In this way, the Minoans' legacy persisted, carried forward by those who succeeded them. The implications of studying the Minoans stretch far beyond the island of Crete. Their story is a reminder of the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations and the ways in which migration, trade, and innovation shaped the development of human societies. By tracing their origins and examining their achievements, we gain not only a deeper understanding of the Minoans themselves, but also a broader appreciation for the shared heritage of the Mediterranean world. But perhaps the most important lesson the Minoans offer is the enduring power of discovery. As we uncover more about their lives, from deciphering their language to studying their genetic history, we're reminded that history is not static. It evolves with each new piece of evidence. The Minoans may have lived thousands of years ago, but their story is far from finished. Each unanswered question, from the mysteries of Linear A to the reasons for their collapse, offers an opportunity for future exploration. And so, as we look back at this extraordinary civilization, we're not just uncovering the past, we're building a bridge to better understand the shared human story, one that continues to shape our present and inspire our future.